Welcome to the WyoVarsity Friday Night Recap, the state quarterfinal playoff edition, sponsored by the Parkway Plaza Hotel and Convention Center here in Casper. I'm sports editor Ross Jacobson of the Casper Star-Tribune. As you can see, Halloween weekend, I'm dressed up. Any of you familiar with the movie Sandlot? I'm dressed up as Benny the Jet Rodriguez. I even got my PF Flyers on right here, so you know I'm going to go through things fast. Fastest guy on the Sandlot. But anyways, a lot going on tonight with playoff action. We had 20 quarterfinal matchups, and a lot of them were really good. You know, a lot of people were saying that this was maybe the best round of quarterfinal matches we've had in quite some time. So let's go through it. Starting in 4A, no upsets, seeds held, and people did it in pretty dominating fashion. We'll start number 1 seed Gillette, just put a whooping on Laramie. They scored 73 points, and I think they put all those points up in 3 quarters, just shy of the 1A or of the 11-man record for most points in a playoff game. So Gillette rolled. Same thing with Sheridan. They shut out Evanston pretty big, so both of them will have home field advantage in the semifinals as expected. Oil Bowl Part 2, NC edges K-Dub. Defense for the Mustangs was outstanding tonight. They get another 3 field goals from Cody Wilkinson, so they move on. They'll have a tough game at Sheridan. That'll be really tough for the Mustangs. They got blown out there a couple weeks ago, so they'll have revenge on their minds. In the 4-5 game, the popular upset pick for us at least was Rock Springs over Cheyenne East. Did not happen. East, credit where credit is due, edged Rock Springs 14-13 on their home turf, and so the Big Four remain in the semifinals once again. I think that's 5 consecutive years, maybe 6 consecutive years where you've had Gillette, Sheridan, Natrona, and Cheyenne East all in the semifinals. So things go according to plan there. The semifinal matchups, you know, we saw the same ones last year, but there might be different outcomes in 2015. Moving down into 3A, the big performance of the night, and we'll touch on this later, was Theo Dawson. He had 5 touchdowns and ran for an unofficial state record 489 rushing yards in Jackson's big win over Riverton. So the number 1 seed Bronx move on. On the other side, Torrington didn't have any trouble with Powell, and so they move on, and their opponent is going to be Star Valley after Star Valley handled Douglas, and that's going to be a great game. 2 pretty good defenses, 2 great rushing attacks, so Star Valley Torrington might be one of the best semifinal matchups that you see next weekend. That's definitely one to watch, and then Jackson will host Green River, who beat Buffalo on the road today as well. Going down to 2A, the most famous person probably had a game tonight in Wyoming was Brett Kiesel, and he came in to watch his cousins and present Grable with the Golden Football, and Grable came out with a 27-25 win over Bighorn at home. Not an upset according to the seedings, but I think a lot of people, including our 2 reporters, picked Bighorn to win that game. So a good bounce back for Grable, which lost in Week 8 to Lovell, and so you'll see the Buffaloes move on. Elsewhere in 2A, Wheatland just destroyed Lyman, 70-6. They put up most of their points just kind of like Gillette did in the first 3 quarters, and a really good bounce back from Wheatland, who lost in Week 8 to Bighorn. So you see that they're back on track. Their defense kind of steadied the ship, and they'll be facing Grable. So that's going to be a great game next weekend. On the other side of that, Lovell handled Thermopolis 28-14, and then Glenrock, who might be a sleeper here, 6-2. Early in the season, Glenrock played Torrington in 3A, really tough, and Glenrock shut out Mountain View 37-0, I believe. So that is another defending champion that is no longer in the playoffs, and we'll get to 2 more actually who are out of playoff contention in just a minute. So it's going to be Lovell versus Glenrock, and that's going to be an interesting matchup in 2A. Down in 1A, 11-man, maybe the surprise of the night, Southeast beat Shoshone 21-3 in a 4-1 upset. Shoshone was playing without one of its best defenders, and J.J. Pingetzer. So it was going to be tough for them, and I think Southeast maybe underachieved a little bit in the regular season. Jeff Burrow is one of the best players in the state, regardless of classification. So you see what they can do there. In 1A11 man, they'll be facing Upton Sundance, who rolled over Rocky Mountain. And then on the other side of that, Lingle took care of Riverside. And then another upset of the day was Tongue River going to Cokeville and knocking off Cokeville. They were the two-time defending champions in 1A11 man, and now they're out. So there's another defending champion that's no longer able to defend their title from 2014. Down in 6-man, things kind of went as planned. Matitsi and Casey, kind of in the top tier of teams, roll to easy wins, and they'll both host semifinal games. Casey's going to host Snake River, and then Matitsi's got Hewlett. So, things kind of went according to plan there. Matitsi beat Guernsey. Guernsey was the 2014 state champion, and they're out now. So you had Mountain View, Guernsey, and Cokeville all lose tonight. Cody didn't make the playoffs, and now only Natrona County, who will have a tough road game at Sheridan next week, is left to defend their 2014 state championship. Who would have thought that going into the semifinals? I know not many people here in our office would have. So a testament to the parity in Wyoming football and how hard it is when you lose those senior classes to advance. But even though I'm dressed up, as Benny the Jet, still talking football and still got the game balls to give out. So a lot of great performances this weekend. It was really hard to decide who was going to get them. But we'll start in 6-man. KC, Danny Ramirez. He was a big part of Casey's big win today. He had 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a fumble recovery. Quite the outing for Danny Ramirez there out at Casey. They'll go into the semifinals as a favorite to get to Laramie, so big things for them. First game ball, Danny Ramirez out of Casey. Second game ball goes to Rue Ayton, the running back out of Gillette. 4 touchdowns tonight for Rue, an interception, and over 100 yards rushing in the Camels. Big win, and really this game ball goes to Gillette's offense in its entirety, which put up, I think, 49 points in the first half and then 73 through 3 quarters. Probably, if they wanted to, could have broken the record. And then on top of that, it was Coach Vic Wilkerson's 100th win at Gillette today. So congratulations to him. Great performance all around for the Camels. So game ball to Rue Ayton and really to that entire team for a bevy of accomplishments and a great win there. They've got Cheyenne East in the semifinals. Third game ball goes to Theo Dawson from Jackson. Really no words to describe his performance tonight. I was lucky enough to get to watch it online, and it was just outstanding. He's had a couple 200-yard games and 300-yard games this year, but 489 yards rushing. Nobody in Wyoming history, according to WyoMingFootball.com, has ever rushed for even 400 yards in a single game, and he got to 489. He had 5 touchdowns. He did it in a playoff game against a good opponent in Riverton. Just amazing. Really no words to describe it, so I'm not going to just try and describe it further. Game ball, once again, Theo Dawson, Jackson running back, getting the Bronx to the semifinals. That's going to do it for this edition of the WyoVarsity Friday Night Recap. Thanks again for tuning in, and as always, keep it here at WyoVarsity.com for all your high school coverage.